Well, a few weeks ago, we had our annual missions revival, and we always try to follow up with the missionaries later to hear if we can improve for the next year. And their responses shocked us this year. I will share their responses with you later, church, but in today's video, I want to just share some of the behind the scenes of how we prepared for the missions revival, what we did leading up to the event, and even just go through some of our computer files and show some of the preparations and just show why I'm thankful for you, church, being an organized church, a church that's ready and prepared and loves missionaries so well. If you're new here, I'm Pastor Ryan Renge, pastor of Calvary Baptist Church in Temecula, California. And our missions arrival in 2025 was the only multi-night meeting that we had at our church this year. And I just wanted to go through our files for the past couple of years in 2024 and 2025 to show the things that go into a missions revival, to make it a spiritual meeting. Now, right now, we're in the preparation time for our fall festival. At the time of this recording, by the time the video comes out, we'll have already had that. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into any event, and we don't want to just do the human side and make sure that it's a good event, humanly speaking. We want to make sure that it's a spiritual meeting. We want to see God show up and God work. Now, when we're going through some of this, it's a lot of administrative stuff. It's a lot of graphics and stuff. I won't show all the emails and correspondence with the missionaries back and forth. This is kind of assuming that the missionaries have already been selected. They've already got their transportation to come here. They've already been briefed on some of these things before they get here. But these are things like orientation booklets, our prayer guides that we give to our church to lead up to the event. There's different postcards that we send to the missionaries when we're going through those. This may be kind of a strange video, but I want to go through kind of line by line through this. So this is our 2024 folder. And it starts with, well, I won't go through the missions guide just yet, but here's some graphics from our missions revival 2024. So I want to start by just going through some of the revival guides that we hand out to our church. This is in 2024. This is the booklet that we give to our church to help them prepare for the missions revival. We encourage every church member to get one of these and read through these. This goes over a little bit of the previous year and what we were able to do the previous year. Gave every missionary a 10% raise. If our missionaries were visiting, gave them a 25% raise, took on 3 new church planters the year prior to this. So this is just a little bit of a missions update from the previous year, and encourage the church to prepare and read through this book so that when the missionaries show up, it's not like, oh, we didn't even know you were here. What's your name again? No, we want our church to know the missionaries' names, having already prayed for them and prepared their hearts to be open to whatever God has to say through the missions revival. So preparing for the missions revival, we also want to take a missionary love offering, and that covers all the travel expenses and the love offering so that when the missionaries are here ministering to us, we can give to them in return. And then the faith promise commitment is we want to prepare the church to look forward to the next year and be praying for several weeks to see what the Lord would lead them to do in the way of weekly commitments or monthly commitments to missions. And then before the missionaries arrive, we want our church members to contact the church, to contact the missionaries and let them know we're looking forward to them. So through our Sunday school classes, we have an arrangement with each class to kind of rotate through the missionaries each week, and each class contacts a different missionary. We have postcards and text message, cell phones that we distribute and emails that we distribute. Those have been removed here, but we encourage our church family to contact the missionaries. Here's a prayer guide as we have prayer time leading up to the missions revival. We want to pray for the world, pray for our church, and pray for myself. So personal prayers as well as big corporate national prayers. We want God to do something through this meeting. Now, one of the prayer focuses is on our Wednesday night prayer times. Our Sunday school classes are praying, but we also add in 4 different prayer meetings in different people's homes throughout our Temecula, Murrieta, our Southern California region here. So 2 Tuesdays and 2 Thursdays leading up to the missions revival, we encourage our church families to go find a home somewhere here in the valley and get one that's close and go to their house for a night of prayer and specific prayer leading up to the missions revival. So here's the different hosts, and we have sign-up sheets at the back of our church sanctuary to sign up for which cottage prayer meeting they're being a part of. We encourage our church family to be a part of every service. This is the one time we ask to take everything off the calendar, everything else off the calendar, and focus on being a part of the missions revival. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The Sunday services run pretty much like normal, but then the Monday services, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday services, we focus on a different missionary and their mission field through that night. We have an up close time with them, question and answer time with the missionary, and then that missionary preaches for that evening service, and it's just a wonderful service. I enjoy those close-up times every night. There's some pictures from the year before. There's a focus in the missions revival booklet to help the church family get to know our missionaries, and here's a little bio on each of them, where they serve, a little bit about their country, and it's a full spread in the missions booklet. This year of 2024, we focused on foreign missions through our missionary, the Velascos, to Spain. And then we focused on our missions trips. That's an aspect of our missions budget, is missions trips. And so this 2024, we were preparing to go to the Philippines in 2025. So we were looking at all of our missionaries in the Philippines area. And so those were our missionaries that are listed there. And we were able to visit a couple of them in 2025, but our focus then was on missions trips and on the field of the Philippines, and that was a wonderful time. And then the Levere family, this was another focus of our missions budget, is our church interns, our summer interns, and Brother Levere was our very first summer intern. He and Garrett Gayoso were way back in, I think, 2013, and he was able to come back about 10 years later and represent our internship program and show how he had been ministering for the past 10 years as a result of some of the training that we were able to provide through our summer internship program. So he and his family was able to come out and be a part of our missions revival. There's a list of the past interns as well. There's a breakdown of the offering goal, there's where it goes, and then there was the scan to give. So that was our missions revival guide that we give to every single church member. And then leading up to the missions revival, we did say that there are prayer times. So our Sunday school our Sunday schools would pray for missionaries, and we would give these cards that would have their contact information on the back sides of these cards. And it would be like it would be a sample email that would be sent. There would be the picture of the missionary, so we would be familiar with them already. And then there'd be a number to text, or a sample idea, a way to pray for them, a way to encourage our missionaries. My family's been involved in missions revivals where we've been on the receiving end of something like this, and it is so helpful to know that the church is ready for us, that they are actually looking forward to us being there. And we wanted our church to be able to prepare in ways that we could show our missionaries, we love you, we care about you, we want you to be here, we know your name, we're looking forward to having you as a part of our services. So there's different designs that we have here. There's Chipotle order forms. I'll go over that some when we go over the missionary orientation booklet. There's the cottage prayer meeting prayer guides. Each of our hosts are given a format to pray through. They can sing some hymns at their cottage prayer meeting if they would like. Every night we have a meal for our church members and the missionaries to sit across the table with the missionaries, so they can spend some time with them there. We also want to make sure that that people don't have to miss missions revival because they have to rush home and get dinner and it's just too hectic. We want to be able to say, hey, come to church, have dinner before church, and then just come straight to the service at 7 o'clock. So our meal is about 6 o'clock and the service is at 7 o'clock each night. And so here's just some of the graphics that we would place as placemats. Then each night we would have a missionary booklet. So that booklet we talked about before was the prep guides to hand out weeks in advance of the missions revival. But then each night, especially when it was the night that they were preaching, whatever missionary was preaching, there would be a booklet that would give even more details on who the missionary was, what the schedule for that night's service was, some notes to fill out, some questions to ask. There's more stats and details about the missionary themselves. Sometimes we would have a special missions song or kind of a theme song that we would put in the booklets those nights. But then each night would have their own booklet that focused on that missionary that night. These are some of the photos that were from the previous years. That was fun to see those photos. And then there's the same booklet that's there. And then some social media posts that we're following up. There's a full brand that's here. There's all the different colors that we used, all the different graphics that we use there. And I think sometimes it's just fun to see behind the scenes. There's our missionaries. This right here is our missionaries brochure. Now, I want to open this up in full here and just go full screen. Actually, let me go partial screen here so you can kind of see exactly what's going on. Let me remove that sidebar. There we go. So this is a brochure that's folded. It's not a trifold brochure. It's folded in half and then it's folded in half again. This just talks about our all of our missionaries. So here's the front cover here, and actually the back panel is here. And so when you open this up, you'll see this inside spread here. This is just the various breakdowns of our missions budget. We support several different things, not only church planting missionaries, but several different areas. And so on the inside panel, when you first open it up, it talks about monthly giving. Our monthly giving goes to 4 broad categories: foreign missions, which includes church planting missionaries in yellow, missionaries that are serving national pastors there in light green, and then we would call foreign missions. There's some people groups here in the United States that are not quite foreign fields, but they are foreign peoples right here within the U.S. So there's a few missionaries that focus on groups like that. And then in orange, we have U.S. church planting. Those are domestic missions that's reaching our Judea and Samaria. We support Bible colleges, which goes to see many, many future ministers supported all at once. And then we have church helps ministries that we'll get to in just a little bit. So that's kind of the breakdown. And in our missions revival, we like to focus on various aspects of our giving. So foreign missions, we always want to include a foreign missionary in our in our missions revival. And we've redacted some of their names. Many of them are coming from closed countries. And so our foreign missionaries would be listed there in yellow, and we'd support many of them in various levels. Mostly my dad was taking people on around 100 a month, and we tried to increase that over the years, and certain things will receive a higher amount. But here's all of our foreign missionaries. And then go up here. This is kind of on the inside fold. There's the U.S. church planting. These are many of the California church planters that we took on the previous year. There's some long-term church planters and others that are almost self-supporting. Those are all represented by these dark orange dots. And then the Bible colleges that we support are the bluish gray dots, and then the dark blue dots are things like CLA, Jehovah Jireh Ministries, different missions directors, prison ministries here in the United States, and magazines ministries and things like that. So I just enjoy this missionary brochure. We try to keep this up to date as much as we can for our church members to know exactly who our missionaries are. And so we have that brochure that's out there all the time. On the Sunday evening, we have this handout that we go over all of our missions dollars, all of our budget numbers, and kind of encourage people in Faith Promise Missions, what Faith Promise Missions is. And so in 2024, I follow much of the same format year after year. This is the one sermon I re-preach every single year. 2 Corinthians 8 and 9. Here's what faith is. Here's what promise means. Here's what missions means. And So that's our Sunday evening handout. Going on into 2025 this year, we had let me find the orientation booklet here. Okay, before I get to 2025, I said I would go back to the 2024 missionary guide booklet. So when the missionaries arrive here, we go through an orientation to help them get acclimated to Calvary Baptist Church and what the schedule is going to be expected of them, and just to try to set them up for the week, just to answer as many questions up front as possible so they know exactly what to expect. So our missionary guide booklet here goes over all of that with them. And here's the 2024 one. Matches all the theming of the rest of the things from 2024. And it just has a little welcome note for us. It introduces them to each other, shows what we're trying to focus on at our church with our missions budget, and just saying, look, when you're preaching, let the Holy Spirit guide you. Don't try to expect to change our church or to try to, drum up a bunch of money. For some of the missionaries, they do this every single year. They do this every week almost if they're in lots of missions conferences. But to our church, this is new. This is once a year thing. It's a serious week. And so we ask our missionaries, even if it might be old hat to them, we ask them to diligently give of themselves to bless our church. And if they have any questions, we give them all the contact information. We want them to know that we love them, appreciate them, have given them some spending money. But also in our schedule, we're intentional about there being free time. I traveled with a singing group, and sometimes churches that want to be a blessing are scheduling every second of every day full of activities. And for many missionaries, they're these young families with babies and little kids, and they're traveling all the time, and they're trying to get homeschool done. And it's super difficult to fit a different church schedule into your family routine every week. And so we don't ask hardly anything of our missionaries throughout the daytimes. We have a lot of free time intentionally built into the schedule. So we'll have a couple brunch and lunch times with the adults. We'll provide childcare on one of the days, but a lot of free time. And we give opportunities for them to go explore the area, make sure that they have transportation if they want to check out the Southern California area. So there's contact info for our missionaries to know exactly where to turn. If they have videos and displays, they can set those up at a certain time. They can set the videos up with a certain person, and we'll go through all of that with the missionaries ahead of time so that we're all set and ready to go. The lodging that they stayed in 2 years ago, for a couple of years in a row, we had what we called our missionary mansion. It was this beautiful, huge Airbnb out in our wine country. We didn't let them drink wine now, but it was a beautiful mansion that they could stay in, and all the missionaries would be together. In 2025, our missionaries already had other arrangements made. They had some family in the area, and different. We just made different arrangements this time, so they didn't stay in the missions mansion. But here's the lodging house rules and what to expect from the Airbnb, and then what to expect from Sunday, how far the distance is for driving, and how much time to give yourself in between church, what to wear, what the expectations are at our church, the schedule for that day, prayer meetings. For the morning times, we have the Sunday school that the missionaries will go to different doors, spend about 10 minutes at each of the different children's classes, and give a brief lesson or bring in some visuals to encourage the kids to pray for the missionaries and to just excite them a little bit. At 10:30 is the worship service, and the missionaries introduce themselves in the morning worship hour, and there's the expectation of where to sit. This year, Brother Arnold Velasco was preaching, and then the Leviers were doing junior church around that time, and the other missionaries were just filling in wherever they wanted to go. Afterwards, there was a lunch, and this was helping them know where to plan. The evening service was a potluck down in the fellowship hall for the church, and that was when we talked about the commitment cards that was for our Faith Promise missions. And then Monday, there was a brunch at 10 o'clock. There was a fun little time in Old Town Temecula, and then a free afternoon. Tuesday was very similar, just a time together, and then a free afternoon, and then the evening meal and the evening service with the different focus on the different missions fields. Wednesday, same thing, free day. There's just a warning about Southern California traffic. If you're coming back into Temecula, if you leave anywhere after about 1 o'clock, traffic just gets exponentially worse. So we try to warn our missionaries if they're thinking it's an hour drive home at 11 in the morning. It's certainly not an hour's drive home at 5 at night. It's going to be a 3-hour drive home. So preparing for that, not being late to any of our services. And then Thursday departure and some of the Airbnb checkout ideas. So what to expect for meals, we always check with the missionaries on whether there's dietary restrictions. Just a few little fun things to expect, question and answer time, what they might expect from that, and getting to know each other so that they have the other missionaries' names and their children's names and ages. We list all those out here so that the missionaries can get to know each other throughout the week as well, and the staff and all of our kids' names and our associate pastors and pastor emeritus and who does what and who goes where. I think it's good for the missionaries to know what to expect and also have, kind of get their bearings for what to expect when they come into a church. A little further down here is the commitment cards that we use, and this just shows the different breakdown. If you gave $1 a week, then that would translate to about a half a month of support. If you gave $250 a week, that would be 120 months of support. And so you can see where your dollars are going if you are giving that certain amount. Here's just a fellowship hall breakdown for how many tables we need and where the pulpit's going to go. This really helps year after year, not having to rethink exactly what's going on. We can print some of these things, and the teenagers can set up the tables and the chairs on a Wednesday night after church and prepare for the missions revival in that way. Here's one of the songs that we sang as kind of our theme song, The Perishing Millions. What a great song this is. And so we sang this almost every night, maybe not every single service, but many of the nights for the past couple of years. What a great song that is. And then here's the 2025 guide. It has a lot of the same information in here, but that's a Word document. This is just for the new the new year here, and so a lot of the same information as previous guides, a lot of copy and paste from previous years, but then we cater it and specialize, update it for that year's missionaries. And then the Missions Revival Prep Guide for 2025. Okay, so here's a Missions Revival booklet. This is the prep guide that follows the same format as the previous 2024 prep guide, but with the updated graphics with Brother Zach running it this year. So similar format. Here's a note. Here's the prayer guides. Here's the cottage prayer meetings. Here's the hosts that are hosting those. Here's the revival schedule. One thing I liked about this year is that we focused on our Jerusalem, Temecula Valley. Here's some statistics about our valley and our city. And for the fall festival that we're in right now, we wanted to carry on the momentum from the missions revival, not just focusing on world missions out there somewhere, but world missions right here in the neighbors next door. And so that was the first focus. Then in Judea and Samaria, we have our U.S.-based Church Helps Ministry. The Johnson family is there, the West Indies field director for Macedonia World Baptist Missions. And that's an aspect of our missions giving. And then the Beal family as they minister in Latin America. And there's a little bit about the countries that they serve in. So this was our fall festival. We built this into our missions revival just to help our church think of the things that are going on in our Jerusalem. We don't want to lose sight. And so there's on the back cover there, the giving goal and the breakdown of the offerings that are there. And so we could go into all of these in more detail, but I wanted to show some of the behind the scenes and talk about the missions revival after the missions revival. And we sent, as I said at the beginning of the video, we sent our missionaries a follow-up email thanking them for being a part of the services and asking them if there's anything we can do to improve. And our missionaries said things like, "Oh, I thought the conference was run perfectly well." Now that's not true, but we appreciate the kind gesture. And they said, "I think everybody should learn from our church. Seriously, we can't think of anything that didn't go well." So that's a tribute to Brother Zach, who oversaw the missions revival this year, did a great job. Another one of the missionaries said, excellent conference. You all did a wonderful job logistically. You should write a manual. I don't think we're going to write a manual, but here's the next best thing of just how we as a church are trying to prepare for our missionaries. And then the missionary said, honestly, this was the smoothest missions conference we have attended. And so either they haven't been to very many, or we're just very honored by that, or they're lying. That could be it too. So I don't know if we have honest missionaries or not, but they are certainly kind, and we're so thankful for them. And we're thankful to you, church, for being such a gracious host church to them. Thank you for loving our missionaries. I love seeing that as a pastor. I love seeing our church loving on our missionaries. They should be our heroes. That's the kind of heroes we want to set up in front of our church. And so thankful that we had a great missions arrival this year. If you haven't seen our other video breaking down all of our missions budget numbers, then we'll include a link to that. But that's all for today's video. Keep on growing in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. God bless you.